All right, everybody, welcome to Gangsta Talk. We don't have the music today because my system is down, so I'm streaming from my phone. This is the Black Knight. This podcast is dedicated to those who gave me much feedback about a podcast I did a couple of days ago when I talked about knowledge of self being a wild goose chase. And I promised them that I would do a live stream dedicated on knowledge of self. As you can see, the title is Conscious of Self versus Knowledge of Self. And before I get started, I'll wait, see who comes in, and I'll get started. Yeah, we're going to get pretty deep today into the knowledge of self. Something I've been wanting to do for a while because Black people have been led astray when it comes down to knowledge of self. We truly don't understand that it's a wild goose chase and that you never really find knowledge of self in some place where you weren't born. And you can be conscious of who you are and where you come from, but your knowledge of self does not come from these far off lands like you've been taught. So as soon as some people start to show up, I'll get it started. I wish I could play some music. All right, let's get going. Shout out to those who are watching in the clouds. I talked about knowledge of self being a wild goose chase. And let me break down what I meant by that because a few brothers and sisters, well, not the sisters understood where I was coming from, but the brothers seem to have had a serious issue with what I was saying about knowledge of self being a wild goose chase. Let's take it all the way back to Mother Africa, the motherland. Shout out to Brianna G for coming in. Let's take it all the way back. When you look at the way Africa is set up, right? Africa has a lot of countries in it. Now, when you look at Africa, all of the countries in Africa, the people who live in those countries identify themselves from their respective countries. A Gambian does not identify as a Ghanaian. A Ghanaian doesn't identify as a Nigerian. A Nigerian doesn't say that he or she identifies from Togo or from uh, the other one. What is the other one? Egypt or any of these things, right? Black people have been taught to search for information that isn't there to keep Black people unproductive. This is why knowledge of self is such a wild goose chase. You cannot find the knowledge of yourself in Africa. You were never born in Africa. Now you can find the consciousness of who your people are, and you could be conscious of the people that you belong to, but your knowledge of self does not come from their lands. And we're going to talk about that right now. For example, the African people in Africa, they all know that they're African. But each and every one of those people identify themselves under a different identity. The Nigerians that are born in Nigeria identify themselves as Nigerians. Yes, they know that they're African. They're conscious of the fact that they're African, but they identify personally as Nigerian. Why? Because Nigeria is where they learn the knowledge of who they are. There are different customs and traditions in Nigeria that are far different from the customs and traditions that are in Ghana. This is why a Ghanaian doesn't identify as a Nigerian, and why a Nigerian doesn't identify as a Ghanaian. Because the knowledge of their selves are different. The Ghanaians have a knowledge of self that's far different from the Nigerians. The Nigerians have a knowledge of self that are far different from the Ghanaians and the Gambians. Okay? And so Americans, Black Americans, have a unique identity of who we are. Although our ancestors may be from Africa, we're conscious that we are from Africans or we are of African descent. But our knowledge of self is taught to us in our households, in the prospective states that we grew up in. Even in America, Black people who are from different states identify differently. The knowledge of self is different. For example, the knowledge of self from a person like myself who grew up in Jersey City is different from the knowledge of self of someone who grew up in Louisiana. We both know that we're Black, but we have different identities of what we identify as. I did not grow under the traditions and customs of those who were born and raised in Louisiana. I was born under traditions and customs that fit me from being and growing up in Jersey. So when you ask me about knowledge of self, that is come out of my household. My parents gave me my knowledge of myself. Now, when you want to talk about a knowledge of people, you can teach me that my ancestors came from Africa, but I can't identify with my African brethren and sisters because I was not born there. I did not experience what they experienced. I did not grow up in their customs. I did not grow up in their traditions. I do not speak Tree. I do not speak the languages of Africa. So I cannot identify fully as an African. I can identify as African descent. I'm conscious of who my people are. So I would be conscious of my lineage and where my people come from and who my people may be. I'm conscious that I am of African descent. But who I am is a Black American man that was born and raised in America. Who I come from, or where my ancestors may come from, they come from a far off distant land that we call Mother Africa. And I say they, I don't include myself. I did not come from Africa. If I was to go to Ghana, the only thing I would be able to do is relate a little bit because I'm Black. They are African. They don't even identify themselves as Black. Well, they start to do that now. But they identify themselves as Ghanaians. The Nigerians identify themselves as Nigerians. These are their perspective knowledge of self. They are conscious that they are African, but their knowledge of self derives from the households that they grew up in. Nigerians were taught that they were Nigerians at a young age. So it's the knowledge of self that comes from the conscious of self, which is who you actually belong to. You are conscious that you are African and you live in Africa. You are conscious that you live in Africa and that you're an African. But the knowledge of who you are comes from your perspective countries and your households that you were born and raised in. This is why you have different traditions and customs all throughout Africa. This is why there are different tribes in Africa, because each tribe has a different knowledge of self. They all do not have the same knowledge of self. If there was one knowledge of self for everyone, We all would have the same customs, we all would have the same traditions, and we all would speak the same languages, but we do not because there are different knowledges of self depending on where you were born and where you grew up at and what you was taught. Other races are conscious of who they are. Like the Chinese are conscious of their history. They know that they're Chinese, but even in China, there are different knowledges of self, depending on what part of China a Chinese person was born in. One place in China does not have the same tradition as another place in China. And so if you go to Hong Kong and you speak to a Chinese person who was born and raised in Hong Kong, he is not the same Chinese person that was born and raised in mainland China, Shanghai, China. The Shanghai Chinese person is completely different from the Chinese person that was born in Kung Lao or that was born in Hong Kong. They do not share the same traditions. They do not have the same knowledge of self. What they share is a conscious understanding that they are both Chinese. But they do not share the same knowledge of self. The Shanghai Chinaman will tell you he does not recognize the knowledge of self from the Chinese man from Hong Kong. Now, I've been to both places, Hong Kong and Shanghai, China. The Chinese people don't even like the people in Hong Kong. They don't even think they're real Chinese people. Because there are deep traditions and customs that are different in both places. The people from Shanghai, China believe that the Chinese from Hong Kong are absolute sellouts and not real Chinamen. And you can go all around China and you can find different, almost similar opinions about different Chinese people who live in China. There are many different knowledge of selves in China, but they are all conscious that they are Chinese. Same thing with the Japanese. There are different customs and traditions. In Japan, you have Ominato, Japan, or you got the island of Honshu, Japanese people who are different from the Japanese people who are in Okinawa. The Okinawans have a different knowledge of self and do not identify with the Japanese people who are from mainland Japan, which is the island of Honshu. There are different knowledges of who each other are. But they both are conscious that they are Japanese. So they are conscious of who they are. They are conscious of self. They have the consciousness of that we are Japanese people. They are conscious that they're Asian, but their traditions and customs are completely different. The knowledge of self is completely different. An Okinawan is not going to Honshu searching for knowledge of self. He or she does not need to because the knowledge of self was given to them when they were born and raised in Okinawa. A Japanese person from the island of Honshu isn't going to Okinawa to learn knowledge of self. Knowledge of self has already been taught on the island of Honshu where he or she was born. Now you can go on a conscious journey to find out who you are overall or who you belong to, but that is also taught. You don't need to travel for that either because they are conscious that they are Japanese. That is their consciousness. Okay, I'm Asian. I'm a Japanese person. When Bruce Lee came to America, he knew he was a Chinaman. But for some reason, he didn't think that mattered. So when he faced blatant racism, there were people there to tell him what he was facing. If you look at the movie Bruce Lee, Dragon, when he was on the boat, there was a Chinese history teacher, right? The Chinese history teacher was conscious of who he was, that he was a Chinaman. He didn't tell Bruce Lee that America, he was going to find his knowledge of self. What he told Bruce Lee was he was a Chinaman. So he gave Bruce Lee consciousness of self. Consciousness reminded him of who he was. And when he said, did they tell you that America wasn't a Chinaman's chance? Now, that man that Bruce Lee was talking to, they wasn't from the same place in China. But the man understand that they both was Chinamen. So the Chinese history teacher was conscious that he was a Chinaman. Bruce Lee didn't give a fuck about him being Chinese because he had dollar signs in his eyes. He had delusions or illusions of prosperity. He was going to make a noise from America loud so they can hear it back in Hong Kong. So Bruce Lee was one of them Hong Kong Chinese, where the traditional Chinese teacher was probably from another part of China. It did not necessarily identify with the customs that Bruce Lee learned in Hong Kong, but understood that overall they were both Chinamen. So he was conscious of who he was. I'm Asian. I'm China. I'm Chinese. So black people have to understand that we are conscious that we are of African descent. But our knowledge of self doesn't come out of Africa. What comes out of Africa is the knowledge of our ancestors. You weren't in Africa. Now, when we talk about Angola, right? Angola is the birthplace of a very famous martial art that we call capoeira, but the original name is Angolo. So the people in Angola was doing Angolo before anybody else. And you're talking about all the way back to what, 2300 BC? It's a long time. That was before people even had civilizations. And they was using Angolo as a form as a fighting art, which eventually was dubbed capoeira. Now the Angolans aren't the same as Ghanaians. So if the Angolans go to Ghana, they'll be respected and greeted as Africans, but they also will be treated differently because the Angolans do not have the same traditions as the Ghanaians. They have different knowledges of self. The Angolan did not grow up and was taught the same traditions and customs and knowledge that the Ghanaian was taught. So the best that they can do when they meet up and go to each other's respective countries is to greet each other respectfully as Africans. But after that, there's a learning of who each other is based on traditions and customs. They do not have the same knowledge of self. An Angolan isn't going to Ghana to find knowledge of self. A Ghanaian isn't going to Angola to find knowledge of self. Black people are the only people traipsing around the world looking for the person that they see in the mirror. And you know why that is? Because we've been brainwashed, and while we've been brainwashed, we've been tricked mentally. And you have race soldiers, you have the new faces of white supremacy in this conscious community with this bullshit, these fake ass fucking 5%ers with this mathematic bullshit. Got niggas running around here on some trumped up shit that's not even true. And got niggas chasing shit all the way across the fucking world. And every time you go across the world in Africa, what do you find? You find more and more information of who they were. You don't find yourself there. Somebody go and do history in Africa and see if you will find yourself there in that history. You won't. Because that is not your history. Your history, whether you like it or not, is here in this country. Now, we can have conversations about how that came about. But the reality of it is, your history is not in Africa. Now, you're going to have these conscious motherfuckers. Oh, no, my man, knowledge of self comes from the traditions of our ancestors. Listen to what they keep saying, right? Ancestors, 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 ancestors. The knowledge of your ancestors. That is their history, not yours. Your history is here in this country. It involves people like Dr. King, Malcolm X. It involves Jim Crow. It involves Tulsa, Oklahoma. It involves racism. It involves O'Shea Avenue in Philly when they dropped that bomb on the Move. It's the Black Panthers. It's whatever took place in this country in your lifetime. That is your history. Now, you can sit up here and say you don't like that, but it's true. Your history doesn't start in Africa. You were not thought of yet. That is your ancestors' history. That is not your history. You are not an Egyptian. You are not an Angolan. You are not a Ghanaian. You are not a Nigerian. Your ancestors were. Now, you may descend from them via bloodline and DNA. And that may make you part African. But Angolan and Ghana, they're Africans too. And they do not identify as each other's culture. And they do not identify as each other's history. The Angolans do not identify with Ghanaian history because they aren't Ghanaian. So when you ask an Angolan the history of Angola, he wouldn't tell you about Ghana. He would tell you what happened in Angola all those many years ago. Now, if there were interaction with Ghanaians, he would tell you that. But he's going to tell you the history of Angola. Even if he had ancestors that came from Ghana, he's still going to tell you the history of Angola. And Ghanaians are going to do the same thing with Ghana. They're going to tell you the history of Ghana. Nigerians are going to tell you the history of Nigerians. Now, we are of African descent, right? The Nigerians know that we are African descent. The Ghanaians know. I don't know if the Angolans know, because the Angolans are way out there somewhere in the trees, some fucking where. You know, they're over there drinking coconuts and shit like that. Now, they may know or may be aware that we are their long lost brothers and sisters. We are their far off brothers and sisters. But do they identify as Black American? No. Why not? Since they know about us, are they seeking out knowledge of self? Do you think Africans come over here understanding that we are their long lost brothers and sisters and we are connected to them through bloodline and DNA, right? Do you see them coming to us for knowledge of self? No. They are not born here. They are not Black Americans. They are Nigerians. They are Ghanaians. They are Angolans. They are Gambians. They're not Black Americans. They're not looking for any knowledge of self from us, even though they found out that we are connected and our ancestors came from Mother Africa. They're not looking for knowledge of self with us. Their history does not start with us. Their history starts in their countries in Africa. Our history starts here in America. Now I know some of y'all don't want to hear about that, and you hate that because of the way we've been treated, and I get it. But it doesn't change the fact that your history is here. Then you can try to act like it don't exist all you want. That's fine. And I get that. I know some of you hate this country. At times I hate it too. But it doesn't change the fact that we were born here. This is who we are. And trust me, I get it. There's so much hatred here for us. You don't mind going elsewhere, thinking and hoping that you were somehow born somewhere else and there's something better on the other side. It is something better on the other side, but it does not belong to us. The history that you search for, looking for that person that looks you back in the mirror, and the history that you find does not belong to us. It belongs to our ancestors. That is their history. That is their knowledge of self. Like I said, the Nigerian's knowledge of self is in Nigeria. He is conscious that he is an African, but his knowledge of self is Nigerian. The Ghanaian is conscious that he or she is an African, but their knowledge of self is Ghanaian. The Gambian is conscious that he is African, but his knowledge of self is Gambian. The Angolan is conscious that he is an African, but his knowledge of self is Angolan. The Senegal, his knowledge of self is Senegal. Togo. We can go on and on and on. Your knowledge of self is here. Your knowledge of self was taught to you in your household. Your consciousness is that you are black and you descend from Africans. That is your consciousness. That is your state of consciousness. You are conscious of who you are. You are conscious that you are black and you are of African descent. But your knowledge of self comes from your mother and father out of your household. The state that you was born in, the country that you live in. That is the birthplace and the origin of your knowledge of self. Your knowledge of self does not come from Egypt. Your knowledge of self does not come from Kemet or Angola or Gambia or Ghana or Senegal. This is why whenever you go into these places and you search for information, what do you keep finding? You keep finding African information. You don't find any information about yourself. And you won't find any information about yourself. You will continuously find information about your ancestors and the people who lived during those times. And you cannot sit up here and say, you used to be. You used to be nothing. You weren't born then. See, you've been led on a wild goose chase. You've been made to believe that there's something at the end of the rainbow when you get there. Yes, it is. It just doesn't belong to you. And you're caught up in all this pseudo knowledge out of the conscious community. The conscious community works for white supremacy. The conscious community's purpose is to keep you distracted and keep you running around on these wild goose chases so you remain as a black man non-productive. See, when you are non-productive, then you are harmless. You're not producing anything. So the white man loves it when you walk around here confused culturally and don't realize that the knowledge of yourself comes from this country, but you're so full of anger and hatred for this country, you ignore your true knowledge of self and you go on this escapade across the world hoping you're going to find yourself somewhere where you never existed. And then you engage in this phony knowledge. Yeah, man, we were kings and queens, man. Emotep, man. Yeah, we built the pit. You didn't do anything. We are not them. They are they. They are them. We are us. You have to wake the fuck up. This knowledge that you run around in your head got you on some fucking goddamn magic carpet flying around in the goddamn atmosphere searching for shit that don't belong to you, keeps you non-productive in this country. You don't have shit because of it. Instead of you building infrastructure for your women and children, every race of man on the face of this earth is building infrastructure for his women and children. They got housing, they got schools, they got medicine, apothecaries, they got shit going on. Black men don't have shit. You know why? Because we sitting around here chasing this pseudo shit. Man, I got knowledge of self. You know, went to the goddamn Indian store and bought a fucking turban, walking around here talking about you got knowledge of self and some bullshit about you a 5%er and what's the mathematics of the day. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Do you know you don't have shit? Do you understand, black man? You don't have shit? What the fuck are you talking about? The mathematics of the day. What mathematics of the day? Mathematics at the end of the day culminate in you creating something? If yes, I'm all for the mathematics of the day. If it's this there for you to be talking shit to other black men to sound like you intelligent, I'm not with the mathematics of the day because that kind of mathematics at the end of the day is non-productive. Math is supposed to produce something. Math is supposed to produce some kind of answer. Math is supposed to produce some kind of answer. I've never heard of mathematics not producing an answer. Why is it that the mathematics that niggas know don't produce shit? What kind of mathematics is that? Somebody tell me what kind of mathematics that the 5%ers have that don't produce answers. I've never seen mathematics not produce something, not produce an answer, not produce an algorithm, not producing what mathematics that you niggas have that produces absolutely nothing. See, this is what I'm talking about. You caught up in this bullshit in the conscious community. You got motherfuckers in the conscious community walking around with these fucking bullshit ass names. And you think they fucking know something. And you listening to them. And they teaching you bullshit. They got you searching around here for shit that don't even belong to you. You didn't build no damn pyramids. Our ancestors did. Because if you built them then, you will build them now. You didn't build shit. Give our ancestors their props. Marvel at their history. Learn from their history rather than trying to claim it because you truly don't understand it. Y'all don't know how they did things. Learn from your ancestors. Don't try to claim what is theirs and what is not yours. You didn't build shit. See, you conscious niggas, I got one question for you since y'all so fucking smart and y'all got all this knowledge and the mathematics of the day which don't produce shit. I don't know how the fuck you have mathematics that don't produce an answer. I don't get that one, but anyway, I got one question for you. If our ancestors' history is your history, then what is our architecture? I want one of you smart, conscious niggas to answer that question. Since you got knowledge of self, that's in Angola in Africa, some fucking where, someplace you've never been born. Since you got all this knowledge of self and over there, what is our architecture? Every people have an architecture. Well, not every people. We don't have one. But according to you guys, since our knowledge of self began in Africa and that's who we are, then what is our architecture? See, I can go around this country and look at architecture and tell you who lives there. I know the Moors architecture. If I see it, I can tell you if there's more is there. I know Egyptian architecture. I know Arab or Middle Eastern architecture. I know Asian architecture. I can look at the architecture and tell you who lives there. Since you guys have knowledge of self, and you say your knowledge of self comes from these far off distant lands where you were never born and you were never raised, then what is our architecture? You guys can email me, you can let me know, you can come up here and you can break it down to me. Where's our architecture? And the thing about it is, you try to claim a place that you've never been and won't identify where you come from and haven't done shit. So you guys keep running around talking about all this consciousness and shit, right? And you don't do a damn thing. You go to the latest clothing store, you buy Indian head wraps, you let your beard grow long so you can look like a fake ass Arab. You niggas are fucking, comic book conscious. Y'all go and y'all see all of these characters in these comic books and in these books and scriptures and shit. Got long fucking beards and canes, and they walking around hunched over, and they the wisest people in the whole goddamn fucking community. You niggas run to the goddamn costume store, buy turbans and Indian head wraps, let your beard grow long. So some of you got motherfucking man weave on your beards. Let your beards go wrong. You get some kind of fake ass name like fucking Jaru Hotep, Hotep Uman, Hotep, Hotep Jackie the Third, Jimmy Crack Horn Hotep, Johnny from down the block Hotep, Juju and them Hotep, Pookie and Ray Ray Hotep. So all you Hotep fake beard Indian turban wearing motherfuckers going right here talking about some mathematics of the day and conscious of self and fucking knowledge of self. And don't know what the fuck you talking about. And then this so-called knowledge of self, right? Y'all use it to fight each other with. It doesn't produce anything. And I still haven't got any replies from the black man is God yet. You see, you niggas staying away from that. Y'all still won't fuck with that. Running around here talking about the black man is God. I can't tell. How the fuck are you a God and you getting your ass whooped every day? Fake ass pseudo intellectual type niggas. Looking for excuses to be non-productive. And that's exactly what this knowledge is conscious shit, right? It keeps you non-productive. You niggas don't produce shit. That's why you were looked at as a harmless motherfucker. Because you don't have shit to reckon with. You haven't established nothing. You niggas are still running around here dressed in some fucking costumes and shit, talking about some knowledge of self. Nigga, you ain't found knowledge of self yet. You should have known who you were coming out of your own house. That is taught to you in your house. Your parents give you knowledge of self. Not Gambia, Africa, not Ghana, Africa. A Ghanaian is conscious that he or she is African, but he or she identifies as a Ghanaian because that is where they've been taught the knowledge of self in Ghana in their household. A Nigerian identifies as a Nigerian, but is conscious that he or she is a African. But the knowledge of self comes from out of the household that they were born and raised in Nigeria. Now, our African brothers and sisters understand that our ancestors come from the motherland. They understand that. They understand that we are of African descent. But do you see them identified as Black Americans? No. Do you see them running over here to America, knowing that we are of African descent? We are the distant brothers and sisters. Do you see them rushing to America for knowledge of self? Now, when we come to Africa, we learn about our ancestors. We learn where our people come from. We become conscious that we are African and we are of African descent. But becoming conscious of who you are versus knowledge of self are two completely different things. Let me see if the African princess is awake. She's on the panel. Abina. Abina. So we can get the African princess on here. We're gonna talk to her about.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, everybody. This is the African princess Abina Mbeko. Abina, you are a Ghanaian, right?
Yes.
Do you identify with Nigerians?
No, I'm a Ghanaian.
Okay, so but what you and Nigerians have in common though? Even though you identify differently, y'all both what? Abina? Okay, she went back on mute for a minute.
First, I'm here.
Okay, even though you identify different from a Nigerian, but both of y'all are what though?
We are an African.
Thank you. You are conscious that you're both African, but your knowledge of self is different, is it not?
Yes, it is.
And where did you get your knowledge of self from?
I get it from Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So if you were looking for knowledge of self, right, even though you got knowledge of self, I say, hey, Abina, you need to go to America to find knowledge of self. What would you think?
Oh, I was thinking otherwise because I can go to America to find a knowledge over there because I am a Ghanaian and the kind of knowledge I have to find it in Ghana.
Exactly. Your knowledge of self and who you are and the history of who you are comes out of Ghana.
Yeah.
So even though you have long lost brothers and sisters who are connected to you by African descent and DNA in America, you are not coming to America to look for knowledge of self, right?
Yes, it is.
So they got Black Americans coming to Ghana to look for knowledge of self. Now, the reason why I'm so upset with this because they're not giving them the right information. We can go to Africa to find out who our ancestors are and
Yes.
where we come from and where we derive from. But our knowledge of self, personally who we are, comes out of our households. It is taught to us by our parents. Our parents teach us who we are, knowledge of self. Now, even though Abby, I am connected to you by
Yeah.
way of descent, right?
Yes,
I
it
am
is.
not a Ghanaian. Am I a Ghanaian?
No, you are American and Black American.
Right. But I am conscious that you are my ancestors. You are my people, right?
Yes.
I am your
Yes.
people, right?
Yes, it is.
Right, but I'm not Ghanaian.
Yes, exactly. You are not.
So I can't go to Ghana and find knowledge of myself because I'm not Ghanaian.
Exactly. You can come here to find only a knowledge about your ancestors, but not a knowledge for yourself. No.
Thank you. Now, people, this is an African, no authentic. She is our sister. She loves her American brothers and sisters. We love the
Okay.
hell out of her over here at the E Nation. Matter of fact, I have adopted her as my daughter, and she cares about me too. She done changed my whole diet. I'm feeling better. You know, I got more energy. Okay, and so she's got me on an African diet. People, eating the fruits, the vegetables. She's giving me that African knowledge, and I'm already benefiting from it. I'm getting stronger. My energy level is going up. I'm not eating like a dog anymore, like I'm some kind of fucking animal. Okay, I can think clearer. So she's telling you, no, you can't go to Ghana and find knowledge of yourself. You can only find knowledge of your ancestors. This is what I keep trying to tell. Go back on mute, Abby. This is what I keep trying to tell y'all is
Okay.
that you are being sent on a wild goose chase. You are not finding no knowledge of self in Africa. Your knowledge of self comes from your home, where you live, and where you was born. Your parents give you knowledge of self. And we got a problem with the word we. Okay. Okay, I will. I will. I'll ask her that in a few minutes. Um, so yeah, keep that up there, Dame. Dame, are you on your computer now?
I'm here.
No, no, I'm not on my computer.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, one second. Let me say this, and then Abby, there's a question for you. Okay, give me a second, though. Let me
Okay.
finish saying what I'm saying. And so this is what I keep trying to tell you guys, right? We got a problem with the word we. And the reason why you have a problem with the word we is because you keep listening to these pseudo motherfuckers in the conscious community who keep filling your head with a bunch of bullshit and got you running around here bebopping on some fake ass hotep shit. All right? We, as in black Americans, didn't build a damn thing in Africa. Now we can sit up here and talk about what we built in this country, and then that's kind of suspect too because did we truly build this country as Black Americans, or did our ancestors who came here from Africa build this country? Did they build it, or did we build it? Because I find it very hard thinking that Black Americans built it because we can't build shit now. So I find it kind of hard that we fucking, as Black Americans, built some shit. Now, if you want to tell me that our ancestors who came from Africa established and built this shit, oh, I would believe that all day long. But to sit up here and say Black Americans built this shit, I don't know about that. I'm not saying that I'm totally closed off to that. Somebody is going to have to convince me of that. That Black Americans built this country. And now I'm not saying that this country wasn't built by black hands. Oh, of course it was built by black hands, but I believe those black hands belong to our ancestors. I don't know if our black hands had anything to do with it. Now I can be persuaded. If you got an argument that you can say, hey, well, no, these black Americans got down and dirty and did this and did that, whatever. Okay, all right, all right. But don't come at me with the Frederick Douglasses. Well, actually, you can because we some black men were prominent when it came down to inventions. Benjamin Banneker was said to have built the White House. Okay, so but was he more on our ancestor side or more on the Black American side? You know, because I find it hard to believe because niggas can't do shit now. I mean, we're a far cry from Benjamin Banneker and Frederick Douglass and Market in Booker T. Washington. We're a far cry from the kind of Negroes. I don't see these Negroes walking around here like that, or with that kind of mental capacity to do that, except for maybe a Dr. Claude Anderson or somebody like that, or somebody on that level, John Henry Clark, or somebody on that level. Yeah, I don't see niggas doing anything because niggas ain't doing nothing now. Guys on right here talking about you build shit, but don't build nothing now. Okay, so are you saying because we built shit in the past, we ain't got to do nothing now? Hey man, I'm black. Don't come at me with no build shit, cause we built shit 450 years ago, nigga. I ain't got to build shit now. So don't come at me with all this build shit, nigga. I keep telling you, nigga, I built the pyramids, nigga. Okay. Did I freeze? Hold on, let me see something here.
No, you are still there.
Okay. All right, let me let Abby answer this question. Abby, Non-Swirl Zone has a question for you. Abby?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there's a question for you, okay?
Okay.
The question is, ask Albina, what does she think of African black men, or what Ghanaian women think of African black men? And are there any stereotypes? That's a question for you, Albina.
Okay. For me, what I think about African American black men is that I see them being our brothers. They be my brothers for the yeah. I see them, they be my brothers, and so I see them, they are a good men in them, and we have the bad men also in them. So what I think most is that we the women in Ghana, we have to click with them so that we can still be one black people.
Okay, Non-Swirl Zone, you got that? Damon, you here?
Yeah,
Dame.
I think
Yes.
he's having okay.
Okay, I gotta refresh. I gotta get off and come back on. So stay on so the podcast won't go down. Okay,
Okay.
I'll be right back. I gotta refresh.
Okay. Okay. I missed a little bit. What you were saying, Abner?
Yeah, we were talking about he said non Suezin asked me a question about what did I think about African American black men, or what Ghanaian women thinks if as any Stress, I don't know, stretch eyes or something. He says something else. I don't know because I'm not saying what about the question is also. I don't know. So he was asking me, and I said, "This is what is that? I think about black American men is that I see them be my brothers, so we can be one as a black family. We shouldn't do discrimination because they are black American men, so we have to do discrimination. No, we are an African American, but just that we, the women in Ghana, we have the knowledge of that they are black men from America. So we see them being our family, being our brothers, and we can be with them.
All right. Okay, I'm seeing what non-swirl says. Um. Okay, and they want to know what Ghanaian women think of
Yeah.
us,
It's
or
funny.
is there any stereotypes?
It's funny how she identified us as Black Americans. See, that's also another blow to this knowledge of self shit. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling you guys, knowledge of self is a wild goose chase. You're not going to find knowledge of self in Africa. What you're going to find is the knowledge and history of your ancestors and the origin of maybe your bloodline and where you descend from. Now, if you want to call that knowledge of self, be my guest. But your true knowledge of self starts in your household. Your parents tell you who you are. That's where you learn that you're black. Your parents tell you that. That's
Mm-hmm.
when you learn who you are and what your identity really is. That's when you start to find out about yourself. Your parents give you that. Now, the history of where we all come from, the consciousness of who we are and who we belong to, we are of African descent and we do derive from our ancestors who come out of Africa. But we ourselves do not come out of Africa. I am not a Ghanaian or a Gambian or an Angolan or a Nigerian. I do not have those customs. I was not raised in those customs. I do not speak Tree. I do not speak the many languages of Africa. I speak English because I was born in this country. And I don't even speak proper English. I speak broken English. That is the language. Well, I can speak Japanese too, but that's neither here nor there. But I speak the language of the country in which I was born. I perform the customs of the group of people that I belong to here in this country, which are Black Americans or Black people or whatever the hell you're calling us nowadays. Negroes, those customs and traditions is what I was born and raised in and what I was taught. That is who I am. Now, if I want a greater knowledge of who my people are, I'm going on that journey to the far off motherland and find out who my people was and where my people come from. Then I can learn about where we come from as a people. But my knowledge of self comes from my birthplace. We were not in Africa. We were not in Egypt. I keep hearing all of this shit about we built the pyramid. We didn't build shit. Our ancestors built the pyramids. Stop trying to steal their history. Their history is not your history. Enjoy their history. Learn from their history. But don't try to steal it. It is not your history. Yes, they may be our people, but their history is their own. It is not ours. Do not try to attach yourself to something that doesn't belong to you. If you go in Ghana and they got deep traditions and histories and things that took place in Ghana, and you go bring your black ass over there trying to attach yourself to that, the Ghanaian people are going to have a problem with that because they know you weren't there. They know you had nothing to do with that. So stop trying to steal the history of our ancestors. That is their history, and it belongs to them. Our history is in this country. Now, I know a lot of you don't like that. You fucking hate it because you hate the way we were treated, and I get all of that. But it still doesn't change the fact that our history is here in this country. And the history that comes out of Africa is the history that belongs to our ancestors. And we are not a part of that. And we didn't build shit in the Nile. We didn't do shit in Kemet. And you know what? Here's another thing. Why all you so-called African historians only know about 2 places in Africa? I thought if you was an African historian, you knew about Gambia, you knew about Papua New Guinea, you knew about all these places in Africa. How come you African experts in the conscious community only know about 2 places in fucking Africa? Egypt and fucking Kemet. Hell, somebody asks you about fucking Eastern Africa, you'll think they're talking about New York. How come you motherfuckers only know about 2 places in Africa? So you motherfuckers talk about Kemet, Egypt. And then another thing, where did fucking the word Kemet come from? Y'all just gonna throw a fucking vowel in there? Kemet is spelled KMT. We don't know what the fuck that is. Y'all just gonna throw a fucking vowel in there, a fucking vowel in there where there was no fucking letter, and just come up with a word Kemet? Just making shit up. Y'all kill me with this meta shit. But how come you so-called African historians only know about 2 places in fucking Africa? So, like I said, we need to stop attaching ourselves to history that doesn't belong to us. I understand that there's a beautiful history in Africa. Our ancestors are blessed. They got the most beautiful and complete history and the most exciting history on this planet. I get it, but it's not ours. Our history is ugly. Our history is ugly and filled with captivity and bloodshed and death. And I know a lot of us don't want to hear about it. We don't want to get it, but that is our history. The Haitians had a terrible time in Haiti, but they don't identify as Black Americans because of it. I know Haitians who hate fucking Haiti and hate the shit that went down in Haiti and hate the shit that's going on with the Dominican Republic, but they still identify as Haitian. They don't come to America searching for knowledge of self. We aren't the only people that hate where they come from. I'll let Abby take care of that one, Yvette. Abby,
Yeah.
okay, Yvette says that she agreed, but she says that she can't claim Ghanaian accomplishments, right? She's not Ghanaian. However, migration is a factor. Kemetic Kemetics migrated to West Africa. 6% of the West Africans enslaved to the U.S. I'm not sure what
Uh,
you're getting at. You understand what she's saying, Abby?
no, no, I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't understand what you're saying, Yvette.
I think what she's saying is the people we know as Kemetic migrated to West Africa, which I could be wrong. Ghana is part of West Africa, and West 6% of West Africa was enslaved to the U.S. So by that migration route from the Kemetics to West Africa being enslaved and shipped to the U.S. Um, some people can claim Kemetic. I
No,
don't
no,
agree
no,
with
no,
that.
no. You no. You can't. You still can't claim Kemetic or first of all, I don't know where to get Kemetic from. Kemet is KMT. There's no vowels in the metaneta. So I don't know where these made up words keep coming from. Okay.
Okay. She said my take of what she was trying to say is correct. That's what she was saying.
I don't. Wait a minute.
Uh
What is she saying?
she's saying what I was telling you, what I think what I thought she was saying, she said that was correct. Thanks for being a little clear. Okay, she said, okay, well my spelling is off, but the history is fact. What I had said that she was trying to convey, she said that's correct. Mhm. Okay. All right. For those who did their research and looked into where their ancestors came from, if they came from West African roots, yeah, be proud of your roots, but you can't claim that you are because you no longer are, and you probably mixed with different African groups, and not to mention the native groups and the Europeans in the makeup. So are you gonna claim every one of them? You're gonna claim every African tribe, every that make part of your makeup? Are you gonna claim every native tribe that's part of your makeup? And are you gonna claim every European group that's part of your makeup?
See, again, this is why we have problems about who we are here in America and why we don't do shit and why we don't have nothing. We keep chasing shit that don't have anything to do with us. We got our nose where it doesn't belong. You're talking about West Africa. You're talking about Kemet. You're talking about Egypt. You're talking about the history of your ancestors. That history belongs to them. That is not your history. Your history is here. Your history is in this country. This is why we don't do shit because we're busy running around here trying to find the person in the mirror. If you would identify with who you are here and understand who you are here and do something with who you are here, you would be better off. Keep trying to attach ourselves to the history of our ancestors. That is not our history, that is their history. And they're calling you fake pseudos again with this bullshit. With this misguided bullshit. The topic of today is conscious of self versus knowledge of self. Dave, can you throw the link in the chat? The topic is conscious of self versus knowledge of self. Well, it doesn't matter when they last left Africa or any of that. The bottom line is our knowledge of self begins where we were born and raised. Our knowledge of self isn't in Africa. The knowledge of who our ancestors are in Africa, but our knowledge of self isn't in Africa. It's here in America. And we keep searching for something that doesn't belong to us. That knowledge and that understanding of history belongs to our ancestors. We had nothing to do with the pyramids in Egypt. We had nothing to do with building the pyramids in Egypt. That amazing feat belongs to our ancestors. And this is why we have a lot of brothers around here now who are unproductive as black men because they're chasing tails and grand titles that don't belong to them and don't understand that history is not your history. Your history is here in this country. And again, I know people don't want to hear that because this country has been very bad to us. And I understand that and I get it. But it doesn't change the fact that our history is here in this country. The history that is in Africa, although it is a beautiful history and a amazing history, it belongs to our ancestors. And we are not them. You won't find a black American nowhere in Egypt building a goddamn thing. We got to get out of this fairy tale shit and start understanding who we are in this country and focus on who we are here and get that corrected and that going in the right direction before we start spanning out and enjoying history of our ancestors elsewhere. Like I said, you don't see any of the Africans coming over here looking for knowledge of self because they know that their knowledge of self has nothing to do with this country. Yeah, but the Jewish people are not, that's actually an ideology, right? They're following the ideology. They're following the plan. They're following the plan to stay on top. Black people aren't doing anything like that. And those are not even real Jews. That's just something that they're claiming. They done stole that. If you want to say that your people built the pyramids, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying you can't say that your people built the pyramids because your people most definitely built the pyramids. You didn't, though. So to say we would be dishonest because we didn't do anything. And we cannot go and claim their history and say that their history is our knowledge of self when we were never born there. I don't believe that either, Morris Anthony, because understand something, religion has caused a lot of people to be conquered. Religion has caused a lot of people to come under the rule of tyrants and evil regimes. So whenever I see somebody coming with religion, to me, they are a part of white supremacy. No, they're not. They're fake. I try to tell people that, Morris Anthony, but you can't convince certain Christians that God is not religious. That's why I say religion is evil. Religion has nothing to do with spirituality. Religion is about control. Religion is about tyranny. Well, I mean, we can get into that, but I'd rather not because that'll be another show. There's a lot of problems with that. A lot of brainwashing going on there. There's big problems. Dame, are you here?
Only for a brief moment.
Okay, I got to get off for a minute. Okay, so you can't hold it down for me?
They don't mind a lot of background noise.
No, forget that. I'll just wait.
Okay.
Or no, better yet, I'm just going to shut the stream down. All right, everybody. I'll probably be back at about probably be back later on tonight. If y'all want to continue this conscious conversation or whatever, we can do that. I'll probably be back later on tonight. Okay. I got to go for right now. So peace, power, and unity. I'll probably be back later on tonight. Well, I had a link down there, T. Washington, but I'm about to go right now. I'll be back later on. Okay, because I got to get. Yeah, I don't have a problem with what our ancestors done. What I'm saying is the problem with us is that we keep relying on what our ancestors done and don't understand that's what our ancestors did. We have to do something for ourselves. Our ancestors did those things for themselves. You see, when they built all those things, they weren't thinking about us. They was thinking about the future, right? They was thinking about the future of their children and generations, but not specifically about us. See, we aren't building anything for the futures of our generations. So, so 2 generations from now, what would our children have to look back on? Nothing, because we built nothing for them. Our ancestors left the pyramids behind for us to study. They left things behind for us to go by, and we haven't even properly did anything with those. All we do is keep going around telling stories about them, but we're not improving on them. We're not extending them. Other races improve on what their ancestors left behind. They take the torch from their ancestors or the baton and they keep it pushing. They keep adding on so that they can have something to leave the future generations so what their ancestors built won't be lost. Black people haven't done that. We're still running around enamored by our ancestors' history, but not continuing the things that they've built. We run around here fucking hotepping with these Mario beards and shit talking about the mathematics of the day. Again, I haven't seen mathematics that didn't produce answers. As of right now, all of them are essential. But if I had to go with one right now, vocation to me is very, very important because you're talking about nation building skills. No nation has ever been built without any of those skills, especially brick masonry, okay? Stone cutting and all of that. All right. So vocation I would go with for right now. And then let the colleges and stuff come after that. Ask a lot of people who have all of these degrees and don't have any jobs how effective college is. But when you look at those who got the vocational skills, right? They got the vocational skills. They seem to be prosperous. Okay, listen, I got to get out of here, y'all. I'll be back later on. Peace, power, and unity.